right, guys, thanks for jumping into our YouTube channel. Wanted to talk through the trade that I took on Friday, the 5th, coming into the session. We traded this news event already, so we were already setting fine on the day. And there was still a couple of good opportunities. I like to trade smaller size on Fridays, be done quicker on Fridays. Fridays for me is not the day to try to be the hero. And I definitely don't want to give back, a week's worth of work. And so, yeah, we keep it kind of tiny on Fridays. But coming into the open, if you haven't watched the other videos, the other trade review from yesterday, or I guess the 4th, as well as like the town hall on some of the way that we're organizing this information, then it probably will leave a little bit to be desired. But I'm kind of melting a bunch of ideas together. So, the first thing I'd like to point out is that we're organizing time. Like from midnight up to 6 a.m. is considered a quarter. That's quarter two. Quarter one is the Asia Open to midnight. And then quarter three is from 6 a.m. until lunchtime, New York session and Eastern Standard Time. What I was looking at coming into today was the activity during this news session, and particularly, I was concerned with the midpoint of this candle here. Okay, and so that midpoint's coming in around 390. So obviously much lower than where we currently were set to open. This is 9 o'clock, right? Up to about 9:22. But the information that I was able to garner, if I look at this candle as accumulation, we get the news move, and I look at that as a manipulative move. We take the high and low of accumulation, close down here. And then in the final quarter of this four candle sequence, we leave the liquidity on the lows and we run this liquidity back to the upside. So all the stops that people were trailing as the news hit, right? When we open here at 9 a.m., we open in a continuation look. And there's a certain, structure to all of this, but we are continuing this move off the lows. Okay, that continuation move fell just short of the euro or the Q2 high, where we would see that liquidity be important. The midpoint of the midpoint that kind of matters to me, this 455, and then we had this 469. So we fell short of that stuff, but that was okay. So during that first quarter, we continued, which makes me anticipate another accumulation candle. The tricky thing about accumulation is that we can accumulate directionally, and we can talk more about that some other time. But we get this candle, which also contains the New York Open, okay, 930. So this candle is from 922 to like 940, right at 945. So then off the open immediately, I am looking to be concerned with the midpoint of that candle and the midpoint of overnight. So we had midpoint of overnight and then the 61 level. And that level, I was tracking where the midpoint was going to come in on this candle, intra candle. So there was an opportunity close to the end of this candle's about 10 minutes, a little over halfway through that. I noticed that we were trading in a strong move above. We had good delta, yada yada. We'd taken liquidity here and here, did not seem to satisfy. This is again overnight high and then Q2 high, and then we're above the overnight midpoint. So I'm looking for longs based on this mode of work. And if any of that isn't super clear, um, again, go watch the other videos, and then you can message me on Twitter or Discord. Um, then the another big part of the work that I do that I do is TPO work, and so this was TPO coming into the day. And the areas that we were concerned with from TPO standpoint was this midpoint here at 510, um, this kind of little low volume area in this 95 to 01 spot. 95 also lined up with with kind of an in like that was the high of this initial push. Pretty reasonable spot, and we talked through all that in morning prep. One of the things that I was concerned with, and the reason that the long side trade made sense, one was where we were with regard to the overnight midpoint, where we were with regard to the intra-session micro accumulation midpoint, and then the fact that value area low and kind of this volume edge, this high volume edge, right? Also, we're sitting right here, 65 to 73. And so one of the things we said in our work was like 65 to 75 is kind of our launching pad, especially because that's above the midpoint at 455. And that puts us, we didn't know it at the time, but as the open happened, we were able to comment on the fact that, and we're also above 61, which is the midpoint of most consequence for this move's continuation. And so we were not looking to be on the short side of any of this. We were looking to be on the long side, especially holding in the series. So the first trade was just a 2 lot trade, scale 1 through ahead of this 95 spot in this kind of volume cavity there, and then kind of wait to see what happens. Buyers kind of stalled out and created a local swing high, and we motored through. But right as we fell into this kind of key area where sellers would need to really perform to take back the no tick OR, which also added a directional bias, and to take back this overnight midpoint, they were selling incredibly hard, creating a lot of delta, but really ultimately ran out of juice right where they needed to pick up steam. And so that gave us the confidence to be on the long side, but not to try to dig. I wasn't looking to dig it out of the dirt. Again, I wanted to see us firmly above the midpoint from overnight and firmly above that 61 spot from the session over session work. Um, this spot right here. So I wanted to see us firmly above that. As soon as we started to track back above that, look to execute longs on the edge again of this, uh, on the edge of this volume, looking for this rotation through. Now on a normal day, I would be looking to, and we talked about this in trade planning, the morning prep. Like the trade is from here through here. So the target is if we get long in this area, we scale some into here, scale some into here, and ultimately scale some into here. So we're looking for that value rotation trade because this is yesterday. This would be prior day, January 5th's volume profile. And so then obviously the day's over with now, but if we look at the next day or Fridays, right? That was Thursdays. We can see that we had overlapping value both from a TPO standpoint and a volume standpoint, and created that trade journey did come to fruition. In fact, we traded all the way up to kind of an old balance area low. So we can talk about that some other time. But the second trade was just a long scaling local swing highs. It's again on Fridays, I am not trying to be the hero. Now, for the rest of the room and other people we were trading with, we were talking through the opportunities uh, into this 530. For people that were continuing to trade throughout the day, we cautioned around this 80 area being super important. You can see that we traded up right up towards that and kind of took out the prior days liquidity that we had up there, and then at 73, which was off of this kind of internal swing, but still could not get up there into that 80 spot, right? So as soon as that happened, we were also monitoring the micro sessions. We talked about the 563 up here being super important based on the time at which this happened, to be really cautious against a walk back of this move through the afternoon, which is ultimately what happened, and we closed back inside the OR. Point being, there could be probably no two different forms of work than volume profile type of work, um, and then this time-based liquidity. They're very different modes of work, but taking them and incorporating key spots from this line of work and key spots from our I keep clicking on that, our TPO line of work just creates um, to me a really good kind of picture of the market and directional and clear risk appropriate opportunities. So we closed out this week and this day decent, nothing special. If I were trading this on another day, a regular day, I may would have been in 3 contracts, 5 contracts. I don't know, somewhere in that range, 4 to 6, whatever. And it would have been scales into 95, scales into the where's it at? Scales into 95, scales into 530. I'm always going to scale local swing high and then scales into 530 and then attempt to scale somewhere in this area looking at the volume profile 520s 530 again coming through from the other line of work, and then any traction back inside of the value area uh, from the prior day would have pulled me off of the long side trade, as well as the work from the micro accumulation midpoint. We would have wanted to see that either quickly get recovered or not get traded below. So we would have wanted this to look very similar to this. And bulls just didn't have enough. The liquidity was not worth the work, and so rotation down it was. Hope you find this helpful. Any questions about any of that, you can message me on Twitter, message me on Discord. Come check out our Discord, 2-week free trial. We'll do a trader evaluation. We can talk strategy, try to offer whatever we can during that time frame, even if you're not interested in being a long-term part. Um, yeah, again, trade review, nothing magical or special to write home about from a P&L standpoint or like, wow, that's an awesome trade. More the win here is just talking through the logic and reasoning of the bias of direction for the day, as well as some more application of this time-based liquidity organization that we're continuing to work on and learn from. So take it easy. Appreciate y'all.